What if the reason you feel behind every single day has nothing to do with how hard you work? Most guys your age are grinding 10, 11 hours and still watching their to-do list grow. Here's what nobody tells you. This is an energy management problem, not a time management problem. Your brain runs on 90-minute biological cycles. Push past that and your output tanks, your mistakes spike, and the energy you burn just to keep going starts compounding against you. You end up spending 2 hours fixing 1 hour of bad work. So you're not losing time by working less. You're losing time because you don't know when to stop. And that pattern runs deeper than most guys realize. Ask yourself this straight. If working more hours fixed the problem, why do the hardest workers you know still feel behind? Think about the guys you know who are always busy, always on, always grinding. First in, last out. They eat lunch at their desk. They answer emails at 11 at night. And yet, when you ask them how things are going, they say the same thing every time. There just aren't enough hours in the day. So what's actually going on there? Here's the breakdown. Most guys measure a good day by how long they sat at the desk. 10 hours in, they feel like they earned it. They feel productive. They feel like they did the work. But then they look at the to-do list and it's still full. Same tasks, same pile, just one day older. And that feeling, that nagging sense that you worked all day and still got nowhere, that's not a motivation problem, that's a measurement problem. Hours worked and output produced are not the same thing, not even close. And there's a reason for that. It comes down to cognitive load. Every time you touch a task without finishing it, your brain has to reload the entire context the next time you come back to it. Who you were emailing, where you were in the thinking, what the next step was. That reload takes energy. Do it enough times across a day, and your to-do list isn't just growing because you're busy. It's growing because your brain is spending its resources just trying to keep up with the backlog. That's the real reason the pile never shrinks. You can log a 12-hour day and get 3 hours of real quality work done. The other 9? Emails that could have waited. Meetings that went in circles. Half-finished tasks you'll have to reload tomorrow. That's not work. That's noise with a desk attached. And the fix for that noise is simple in theory. Handle things once at the point of contact. Touch it, decide it, done. That one shift alone cuts the mental clutter that quietly drains your focus all day. Think of it like a car running on fumes. The engine, your working memory, is still on. The wheels are still turning. You look busy. But every time you switch tasks or delay a decision, you're burning fuel through decision fatigue. You're not going anywhere fast. You're just wearing down the engine. And eventually, something breaks. That's what long, unfocused workdays actually do to your output. So why do most guys feel like they never have enough hours, even when they're working hard the whole time? Because they're counting hours. Hours are the wrong unit. The right unit is sharp, focused output. And that's a completely different thing to track. What you actually have each day is a fixed amount of sharp mental bandwidth. You start at 100%. Every task, every decision, every context switch draws it down. And once it's spent, you're not really working anymore. You're just going through the motions, clicking things, moving things around, feeling busy while producing almost nothing of value. The guys who seem like they have more hours in the day aren't working longer. They're spending their bandwidth smarter. They know when they're sharp, and they protect that time hard. But here's the part. Most guys never connect. What happens to the work you produce after that bandwidth runs out? Have you ever finished a task, looked back at it an hour later and thought, why did I do it like that? Why did I take that approach? Why did I miss that obvious thing? That is not a one-off brain glitch. That is a pattern. And it is costing you more time than almost anything else in your day. Here is what actually happens when your brain gets fatigued. Your error rate goes up. Not a little. Significantly. You start making decisions faster, but worse. You skip steps without realizing it. You miss things that would have been obvious to you 2 hours earlier. Your brain is still running, but the quality control part has basically gone quiet. So you finish the task, you move on, you feel like you got something done. But then later, you shows up and finds the mess. A wrong number in a report, an email sent to the wrong person, a decision that made sense at 8 p.m. and makes zero sense at 9 a.m. the next day. And now you have to go back, fix it, recheck it, sometimes tear it down and redo it from scratch. That mess is not random. It is a direct result of your accuracy dropping when your cognitive resources ran dry. That is the 2-hour tax. 1 hour of tired work, 2 hours of cleanup. And that cleanup costs more than just the fix itself. Here is the part most guys miss. When you go back to correct an error, you are not just fixing a typo. You are spending mental energy to rebuild the entire map of that task inside your working memory. Where were you? What were you doing? What does this even mean? What was the next step? That is context reconstruction, and it burns bandwidth on top of the fix. So the 2-hour tax is not even a fixed number. It compounds every time you have to reload. Most guys never connect those two things. The fixing feels like a separate problem. Just part of the job, right? It is not. It is a direct cost. It is what happens when you keep working after your brain has already hit its limit. And there is another layer to this. Every unfinished or broken task you leave behind does not just sit quietly waiting for you. Your brain keeps a running list of open loops. Things that are incomplete, things that feel off, things that need to go back to. That low-level nagging you feel, that sense that something is missing, even when you are not actively working on it. That is cognitive tension. It drains your bandwidth in the background, even when you are nowhere near your desk. So, what is the one thing silently eating 2 hours of your day? It is not your phone. It is not bad habits. It is not even distraction. Not in the way most people think. It is continuing to work after your brain has already clocked out. And your brain does tell you. Focus starts slipping. You reread the same line 3 times. Small decisions feel heavier than they should. You open a tab and forget why. Those are not random. Those are your brain waving a flag. Most people respond by pushing harder. Another coffee. A bit more willpower. Just get through this last thing. But every hour you work past that threshold is not just less productive. It is building a pile of problems that future you has to deal with. You are borrowing hours from tomorrow to pay for the mistakes you made today. The good news is this does not happen randomly. There is a biological clock running underneath everything you do, cycling through peaks and drops on a predictable schedule, whether you pay attention to it or not. That clock has a name. It is called your ultradian rhythm, and it runs whether you acknowledge it or not. Here is the breakdown. Your brain cycles through roughly 90 minutes of peak alertness, then drops into a recovery phase. This is not a suggestion. It is a biological constraint built into how your brain manages energy. It does not ask for your permission, and it does not care about your deadline. Most guys hit that drop and try to fight through it. More coffee, more willpower, more staring at the screen hoping something clicks. But you cannot willpower your way past a biological cycle. All you do is make the drop worse and stretch it out longer. Think of it like trying to sprint a full marathon. You will move forward for a while. You will feel like it is working, but your body will force the stop eventually, and it will pick the worst possible moment to do it. Right in the middle of something that actually matters. So what actually happens inside your brain when you push through that dip? The part of your brain responsible for decisions, planning, and catching your own errors starts going offline. Not metaphorically. This is cognitive fatigue, a measurable drop in the function of your prefrontal cortex, the area that handles high-level thinking and quality control. When it disengages, your decision-making does not just slow down. It speeds up and gets worse. You start moving faster through tasks while missing more. That is the same pattern from earlier. Faster, but worse. And this is exactly where it comes from. And here is the part that gets most people. You do not always feel it happening. You still feel like you are working. You are still typing, still clicking, still moving through tasks. But the quality of what you are producing at that point is a fraction of what it was an hour ago. You are busy, but you are not effective. Those are very different things. Your attention starts to fragment. You jump between things without finishing them. You read something and it does not stick. You make a call that feels fine in the moment and looks wrong the next morning. Your brain is still on, but it is running well below what it is capable of. This is exactly why two people can sit at a desk for the same number of hours and walk away with completely different results. One person is working with their brain's natural rhythm. The other is fighting it. Same hours, completely different output. Because this is not really about time. It is about energy availability. Once that energy runs out, more hours do not produce more output. They produce more errors, more cleanup, and more of the 2-hour tax showing up from a different angle. Now here is what ignoring the cycle actually costs you across a full day. If your brain peaks for 90 minutes and then needs to recover, and you skip that recovery, your next block does not start at full capacity. It starts at whatever depleted state you carried forward. Each block gets a little worse. By the afternoon, you are running on a fraction of your actual ability and wondering why everything feels so hard. The guys who look like they are operating at a different level are not smarter. They just stopped fighting a cycle that was never going to lose. And once you start working with it instead of against it, the return on each block of time changes completely, which raises a question most guys never think to ask. Subscribe for more videos on how to manage your time and to hack productivity.